New video today. Basically, we're going to be building a budget gaming PC in 2026. The budget is about $350 to $400. We've got the parts, we've picked them all up, and now it's time to put them together. So the parts we've picked up today, we've got the Ryzen 7 1800X with the X370 SLI Plus motherboard. This is a nice board. The BIOS has been updated so it can support all AM5 chipsets in the future. We're putting it in this nice white thermal tape case, and we're putting a 1070 with a brand new power supply. So we're going to be building this now, and I'm going to show you step-by-step tutorial on how it's done. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to put the RAM in. So I've picked up some Corsair RAMs. They're 16 gigs, 2x86 at 2666. Ideally, you'd like to get 3200, but beggars can't be choosers, especially in the market today with the prices and everything like that. So this should still be fantastic for gaming, especially if you're trying to game at 1080p with the 1070. I think it will run flawlessly. But to put these chips in, basically you want to use number 2 and number 4. That'll have it running in dual channel. So to put it in, you make sure the clip is open out here, put in one side, put in the other side, and just clip it in. You should hear a nice little click. Generally what happens is the sticker, okay, usually faces the CPU. That's how you get an indication of which way it's going. But for some reason, this one is the other way around. I don't know why, but usually the sticker always faces in. Again, line them up, clip them in. Perfect. Next thing we're going to do is apply some thermal paste on the CPU. So I've already cleaned up the CPU with some alcohol. To do that, you just basically get a rag, spray some alcohol on the rag, and just give it a nice little wipe. Make sure it's nice and clean. Perfect. Now, with your thermal paste, a lot of people think that if you put a lot more thermal paste that it's going to be better for the CPU. Absolutely not. When you put too much thermal paste, it creates like a massive layer. So the heatsink isn't really making much contact with the CPU, so therefore doesn't really cause proper cooling. Now, all you need to do is put a nice little dab in the middle, like that, and just little points here. That's all you need. Now, CPU, we're just going to use the stock standard AMD CPU. I've already cleaned out this heatsink part right here. To put this in, you line up the screws on the actual heat plate itself. Motherboard. Now, that's all lined up nice and straight. Okay. Now, next thing you want to do is get yourself a nice screwdriver, which I had right here. Sorry, got it right here. Screwdriver. And you start by just basically putting one side in. You don't tighten it too tight. Okay, that side's in. Then you go to the other side, put a little bit of pressure on it. Make sure the motherboard doesn't flick open. Make sure the motherboard doesn't flip up. Okay, put in the second side. That's in, and then you start going around the whole board. Once they've all got a nice little bit of traction, you don't want to put too much pressure on it. You just want to tighten them to, you get the first sort of tension. So that's it. That's it. Okay, perfect. Now that's all screwed in. So now what we want to do is we want to transfer everything into the case. Okay, so with the case, you want to line up the I/O part of the motherboard with the hole on the actual case. Now, shit thing about buying secondhand is you don't get an I/O plate majority of the time. Now you line up the holes with the standoffs. Make sure that you can see all the standoffs nice and clear, and then you start putting in the screws. Now the screws you want to use are the little screws with the actual ring around them. Make sure you use these ones, because I see a lot of people putting the other small screws, but they actually, all they do is they keep spinning in the actual the standoffs, and that way what happens is it doesn't really get tight, and then when you try and take that screw off, it's stuck to the standoff. Then you got to get some pliers and hold the other part of the standoff to remove that screw again. It's a bit of a headache actually. So I put the bottom one in, and I didn't tighten it too tight, only because if you tighten it too tight and it's not lined up with the other standoffs, and you'll end up having to loosen it up again just to make sure that you can tighten the other screws. So make sure you put all the screws in the standoffs, just to secure the motherboard down. Yep, it always falls off like it's a magnet. Otherwise I'll be sitting there trying to fish with a screw the entire night. There you go, perfect. Now that is secured. Next thing we want to do is get the front panel connections from the back of this case, connect them to the front here. Only reason why I do these now is because when you put the GPU in, I don't want to be looking under the GPU to put the, you know, the front connections on. Usually it's already hard enough to see, and with the GPU on top covering it, makes it even harder. Now when you get the new case, obviously these are all your components for the front panel. So the front USB 3.0 and HD audio. These ones you want to slide from the bottom, obviously, so you can plug them in and less wires showing in the build. Okay, so the USB 3.0 usually goes on the side next to the 24 pin, so we've plugged that in right there. Next one is the HD audio. You look for on the HD audio, you basically, if you look at it, there's always one right there that's got a block on it. So to put that one in, you look for the HD audio part on the motherboard, which is right down here. And as you can see, that one there is missing the little pin there, so therefore the block will go facing the top, and that goes right in. Perfect. And now the front connection is usually the hardest bit of the build, to be honest. It's so tedious. Now these go down here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to work some magic. I'm going to show you how fast I can actually do this. Give me 2 seconds. Bang, just like that. These are all plugged in. I'm not going to lie, these actually gave me a bloody headache off camera. So I'm glad I didn't bore you guys by putting these in. So we've got the HD audio, front USB, front connections in. Now what we do is we're going to put in the video card. Now to put in a video card, you basically have to remove the side of the case. So get this little, oh my God, that is actually really tight. Give me a sec. Now with the video card, generally you have to take off these two here in order to put in a video card with its backplate. Now to take these off, you take off this screw, and these just wobble off. So you just wiggle them left and right, and they come off. Perfect. So the screws have been removed. Now I'll take these off here, show you. That comes off. Next one, you push it in, and that comes off. So it's fairly easy when it comes off. Now the video card, 1070 GTX. This is a nice card. It's a very capable card. Still runs all 1080p games in perfect fashion. Now to get this in, make sure that this clip is down. Line up the video card in the PCI Express slot and just push in, and it clips in. Once it's clipped in, you basically just want to tighten a screw right there in order to hold it down. Perfect, that's been tightened, plate's been put back on, video card is in. Okay, now we're going to run the power connections in. So we want to get the 24 pin, we want to get the CPU 8 pin up here, and we want to get the GPU 8 pin as well, and plug them in. Now to do that, you got to put in a power supply. Now let me get the power supply. I love it when power supplies are new, because you just know when you're building a computer with a new power supply, you just know that the customer's going to get a very good computer that hasn't, obviously power supply hasn't been, you know, thrashed over the years. They can use this to your heart's content. Now we're only going for 450 watt. I think a 450 watt is more than enough for what we're running in the system. An 1800X with the 1070 should be enough power for that. Now with your power supply, you want to make sure that the fan is facing down. If you're facing up like this, then the hot air is going to push up straight into your computer, causing, you know, bad temperatures. Now make sure it's facing down, and you basically just slide the power supply in the position where it's supposed to go in, right there. Okay, and now what you do is there's 4 screws, put them in, tighten them up, and then we'll start plugging in. So power supply is plugged in, well, not plugged in, it's in. We basically move over to the cabling, make sure you take off the cable tie. Okay, so this is your 24 pin connection, and this is your CPU connection, your 8 pin CPU connection. Now generally, CPU connection's always on top of the board, so you'd want to feed it through the little hole from the top, and the CPU the power supply 24 pin is usually from the side, so you just want to slide this in from the side, and we will flip this over. Okay, as you can see, now with the 24 pin, there's a latch here, and on the actual pin itself, cable, there's a latch there. So therefore you twist it, so this latch is now facing here, twist it around, okay, get a feel for the holes, and that's it. That one's in, just push it out, cable tie management, and now with your 24 pin, that's all the way up here. So again, you look for the latch, which is up top, look for the latch, that's up top, twist it, okay, and that's it, that's in, that's in. Okay, so they've all been plugged in now. We've put all the fan connections in, we've connected the RGBs, we've basically butterfly affected them, but the motherboard hasn't got any ARGB connection, so we've had to get ourselves an ARGB hub. Now, this is all plugged in from this side. We're going to go with the 250 gig SSD from Ideoloka. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me where I got this from. Actually, I think I got it from Amazon. Don't quote me on that. I think I did. Amazon or Alibaba. I mean, it only cost me, I think, $40 for 250 gigs. So, especially in the market today, that's actually a pretty good deal. So we're going with a 256 gig SSD, and we're also going to include a 1 terabyte mechanical drive, hard drive for extra storage. Now, once your hard drives are plugged in, you basically get these SATA cables over here, and they'll go in from the side on the bottom and plug into the board. Let me twist it around, and they'll go straight into these ports over here. So let me plug them in. They're in. Now we need to get the 8-pin GPU connection. So where are you? Where are you? Back here. That'll come in from the bottom where the PCI connection. Oh, we'll go from the bottom. Here we can. So, okay, so once that's slid in, and so the latch is up on the top here. Latch is on this side, so you'll put in the first 6. Sorry, hold it down. Next 2, we'll just go from the side here. Push it against the other pin and push it in. There we have it. This is a computer fully built. So let's go over it again. GPU, RAM, CPU fans plugged in, CPU power is plugged in, 24 pin is plugged in, power to the CPU is plugged in, front connections are plugged in. Okay, now we'll twist it around, do some cable management, and we'll boot it up. Okay, so the only issue we've had in this entire build is with the ARGB, there isn't even an ARGB header in this board. So we actually can't power on the ARGB fans unless we get a controller, which I've already ordered from Amazon, but that won't be until tomorrow. I will update the YouTube shorts showing you guys how it looks with all the lights on, but this is the first time I've booted it up since I've built it. So let's see if I get it right the first time. Let me boot it up. Fingers crossed. Nope. Let's make sure the power is on. Always. Bang. That is the first time. Let's see if we get a post. Please, 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 please. Come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Probably just doing some memory training. It's gonna, yep, as you can see, we're getting lights blinking, and we have got a post. Let's go, baby. That was the first time I didn't do anything. Okay, as you can see, device changed, CPU memory, CMOS has been cleared. Please enter set up and configure. Okay, so I'm going to get Windows installed. Give me 2 seconds to start installation. Okay, so we've made the necessary changes in BIOS. We've put the Windows USB bootloader in, and let's see if it starts loading into Windows installation. And there we go, Windows installation. Okay, now to install Windows, just your time and currency. Select wherever you're at. We're in Australia here, so we're going to choose Australia. Next, install now. Windows is the easiest part of the entire build, so I don't have a product key. Choose Pro. I usually go Pro. A lot of people go Home, but I like Pro. I don't know why. Pro is just better than Home, I suppose. I accept. Next. Yep, so that drive, that SSD is only 128 gigs, I think. I don't know why it shows up as 119, it's just Windows and whatever. But we're going to install Windows on this drive, and we'll install games on the other drive. So select the drive you want to install it on, just click next, and Windows will start to install. Now, once this goes through, when it says restarting, make sure you pull out the USB bootloader straight away so it just loads directly off your hard drive. Okay, so I pulled out the USB now. Windows is restarting. So we've done the first part of the installation. Now the second part is just a little bit of questions they ask you. I usually just go to no until I boot into Windows, and then we'll start doing the updates, install the drivers, then we'll install the game and run a test. We're doing the Windows updates. This part takes forever, man. Just want to get this done because I've got about another 3 computers I have to build. So this one's almost done, which is awesome. After that, I've got another one I've got to build, but I might take my time with this one. This one, actually, I built this one not even in half an hour. So we'll get this one done. We'll install some games on it, run some benchmarks, make sure it's completely stable, Prime 95, and then we'll advertise it on Facebook Marketplace. I want to try and flip 10 for the month. We did end up flipping 10 PCs last month, which is awesome. Now, this month, we're going to up it up to 15 PCs. Again, we're not making a lot of profits, $150, $200, but I mean, if you factor in all the time that it takes to go pick up the parts, source the parts, and then sit down and build it and program it, I mean, it's not a full-time job, obviously. I do this for content. I do this for you guys to teach you guys how to do the installation and everything like that. But hopefully you guys like it and the YouTube channel grows. Graphics driver is now almost complete, and we have started building the next build. It's actually looking really nice. I mean, I can't wait for that ARGB controller to come in so I can install it and have ARGBs everywhere. Because y'all know me and my builds, I'm all about the RGBs. We've updated Windows. As you can see, the CPU is the 1800 X8 core with 16 logical processors, the 16 gigabytes of RAM with the 1 terabyte extra storage space and the 128 gig space SSD for Windows, Ethernet, and the GPU is the GTX 1070. Now, I like to run CC Cleaner once it's all done. Make sure that the complete system file is nice and clean. It also does a performance optimization along with the driver update. So it gives all your drivers the latest updates. Once that's run, obviously everything will be up to date. And I can also disable startup items to make the computer run faster. Doing the Chris Titus tweaks now. So the computer's fully updated. All the tweaks are now done. Okay, now we'll just do a quick restart and it is basically done. And in that time, I built another machine right there. This is a 3070 with a 3600X with 16 gigs of RAM, DDR4 3600, and I think it's a 1 terabyte NVMe with a 250 gig SSD on the side. Let me just finish off this installation and we are done. So system number 1 has now been fully complete, all built, Windows updated, everything's ready to go. We're basically just waiting for the RGB controller to come in tomorrow. Once that comes in, I'll be able to connect that up and show you guys what it looks like and how the games actually run. But in the time it was actually installing Windows, I decided to build the second machine. This machine's an absolute beast, but that's for another video to come. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to share with me, let me know in the comments below. I do this because a lot of people are under influence that you're going to have to spend 2 or 3 grand on a system in 2026, but as you guys can see, that's not the case. About a $400 build all up. It's an absolute machine. It's going to run every 1080p game you throw on it, and at the same time, it's at a budget price. So it'll get listed tomorrow, and once it does sell, I'm going to record it all, show you guys the buyer, show you how happy the buyer is, and that'll be released on a YouTube short. Appreciate you guys' support. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I need you guys to do your bit so I can continue to make these videos. Thank you.